All right, so we're early in the year, and some people start their breeding seasons with rabbits planning early, like I do, and then other ones just kind of like go out when the weather's good enough to do it and kind of decide, oh, I like to do this one with that one, or this buck with this doe, or I'd like to see what colors come from this pairing, that sort of thing. And so I obviously don't think that's the way to go about it, and I want to show you how I decide what animals or what bucks and does, how I decide to pair them together. Now, I want to preface this with some breeds, and you need to make sure you have or don't have that breed. Like mini Rex, for example, you have to breed certain color groups together. French Lops for me, that's not a thing. All the Lop colors aren't an issue. I do believe like breeds like Flemish Giants, you need to breed certain colors together with those. Know your breed for sure first before make sure the color part is true, because you could end up with unrecognized colors that way. But starting from there, assuming the color part doesn't matter, or you keep that in mind, is that there's a thing it happened early on, and I think people are kind of letting loose on it a little bit, where people would breed together, say, a buck that had long shoulders and a doe that had short shoulders, assuming that putting them together would cause the good length shoulders to come together. And that's not logical. The genes do not know, okay, these are the good pieces from these animals, let's put them together and make the best babies. That just doesn't happen. So the problem, the way you work around that is look at each animal on its own standing and go, these are the best that you can do. Now, maybe your herd is lacking in that area, then yes, by all means, like buy ones that have better shoulders or something, to help improve that. However, if say your herd has, they're good overall top line, but their head is really poor, don't buy one that has a great head and a very poor back line, assuming that that's going to fix the problem either. Yes, you want to try and fix the problems, but not at the sacrifice of what you've already accomplished, if that makes sense, okay? Take that into consideration when you're buying your animals as a standalone animal itself. So I'm going to turn this camera around and do more of a screen recording, so I can pull up large images and really point to the parts that I am looking for, okay? All right, these are pictures of past French Lops that I have had, and I want you to keep in mind that these are posed for the commercial posing way for the ARBA, and so there are 7, I believe, posing types, so your rabbit obviously could look different, but this is still going to help you get an idea of how you would choose an animal to pair together, even though they would be sitting differently, but that's up to you to know your rabbit's body conformation posing type, right? Okay, so I have 2 bucks here and 4 different does. So I'm going to start with this one here. So with her, I mean, a lot of these does are really, really nice, but if you're looking at, say, her, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. The shadows help you see a little bit where she could be lacking a little bit. So you can kind of see this indentation here and a little bit right here as well, where she's probably a little bit hollow, or she needs a little bit more muscle mass to fill out there. So that was where she was lacking at this age. This was when she was younger. So she did fill out a little bit more and got nice and wide. So that would be her lacking point there. A plus side for her is that she also has a very nice head to go with her body. Now, this one is definitely the problem child. Look how long those shoulders are. And she's also very hollow in the hindquarters as well. So when you're looking for something to pair with her, you do not by any means want to have any animal that has shoulder issues or is slightly hollow in the hindquarters. So this buck here, his main issue was right here in the hindquarters as well. You can kind of see that hollow point where he just from here out, he needed more muscle, and right here, he's just not thick enough there. either. His head is great, his shoulder length is good, his top line is great. So obviously he should not be paired with a doe that has that issue there, okay? Just to help compare that out. So like I had mentioned, yes, you do not want to breed opposites together. However, you should take in comparison if you have two bucks like this one, where he really did not have much in the way of any issues at all. The only thing with him is that he's slightly small. So that is the only differentiator between these two. Now, always, in my opinion, breed the best to each other, the best pairing possible, and like continue to just trade out the ones that are maybe not up to par, the way that they could be. So in this instance, you would want this buck to be bred to these two does because they have the main issue. You do not want to be pairing this buck, even though he has nice shoulders, to this doe, because that's just going to encourage the hindquarter issue there. However, like with this doe, she really did not have too much in the way of that, as well as this doe. Now, she was just like spot on beautiful. I don't know. I wish I could have gotten more babies from her. However, maybe if you want to be super, super picky, she's relaxing a little bit and she could tuck in a little bit more. You could maybe be like, I want a buck with a little bit shorter shoulders here. But both of these bucks here do not have that shoulder issue at all. So if you're having to make a choice and you only have two bucks, you could, with this example herd, use this black buck here with these two broken does and use this buck over here with these two does, because they are not lacking in the assets that he has, right? The one area where she lacked a little bit was her head was, now this picture, it looks good, but she got a little bit bigger later on, and her head just wasn't quite to the size I would have liked for her body. However, it did, because she was a doe, they kind of ignored it a lot on the show table. So I would have liked for her body or her head to be in comparison more like this doe, where it was just a little bit bolder. You can kind of see how much flatter and more narrow it was. But maybe one like this buck was thicker and bolder. Then you would try and breed him with this doe was nice and big, or this doe was nice and big, body wise. So really look at the areas that they're lacking, yes, and breed the opposites together when that is what you have already. But never make purchasing decisions, I can talk today, on the fact solely that, say this doe, like let's just pretend all of these rabbits were like small, on the small side, and she was nice and big. Like, she's not good enough to be worth buying her solely for her size. Does that make sense? That's the point I'm trying to get across, is that never take a step back with the conformation that you do have in order to just get one good asset. Okay? I hope that was helpful and kind of explained a little bit better how you would make choices along those lines, and how to put rabbits together.